Seems like everybody hates Triple H right now. This time last year, the WrestleMania 40 build-up was on fire. You had the final boss and Roman Reigns working together in the Bloodline to feud with Cody Rhodes. Then you had CM Punk, who unfortunately got injured, but he was in the middle of a Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins feud, which was fire. And then WrestleMania 40 became a classic when the Avengers showed up. John Cena, The Rock, Undertaker, all those guys. Triple H and his creative team absolutely killed it, and the same cannot be said about this road to WrestleMania 41. It's been a disaster, and there isn't too much hype surrounding it. It's gotten to the point where even the talent aren't happy with their booking. In a recent Fightful Select report, there is frustration among WWE's women's roster over the booking of the division, with the talents wanting to be on a more even plane. The report says this: "I've spoken with plenty of women in WWE who are frustrated about the booking of the women. I know that there have been some Mania pitches that have been rejected because people are like, token tag team matches aren't something that they want to do. They want things put on a more even plane in the women's division." Ever since Triple H took over creative, the women's division has felt like an afterthought. At first, there was optimism. Fans believed that under his leadership, the division would flourish, especially given his history of building strong women's storylines in NXT. But instead, things have gone in the opposite direction. Women matches and segments have been cut from shows, and even when they do get time, it's often rushed or it lacks importance. Just look at how certain top-tier talent have been handled. Bianca Belair was once a megastar, carrying the division on her back with charisma, athleticism, and undeniable fan support. And now, she's just kind of lost in the shuffle with no real direction or momentum. Then there's Jade Cargill, who was one of WWE's biggest signings in recent years. She came in with an aura of dominance, but instead of being a force in the division, she's barely been used in any meaningful capacity. Naomi is another example. She made a huge return, but for what? She hasn't had any significant feuds or storylines to justify her comeback. Even the stories that have been given attention have not delivered. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley is a prime example. The feud dragged on for so long that it lost steam, and by the time it reached its conclusion, most people were kind of over it. The worst part is that the belt just went right back to Rhea, shutting out new challengers and preventing fresh matchups from happening. The WWE Women's Division is stacked with talent, but it's not being used properly. The lack of investment in the division isn't just frustrating for the fans, but it's also frustrating for the wrestlers themselves. And honestly, I completely understand their frustration. And it's not just the women's division. Gunther also recently came out to express his frustration with his booking as well. This is what he said in a recent interview with the Daily Mail UK. "I don't think the last few months were ideal for me. I lost to Cody, and then everything that feud with Priest, it didn't allow me to show the best side of me, if that makes sense. But I think now I'm back to my old self. I feel my mojo again." That's a pretty telling statement coming from the current World Heavyweight Champion. Even though he holds one of the biggest prizes in WWE right now, he doesn't feel like he's had a great run, and honestly, neither do the fans. This is exactly what many people have been complaining about. Gunther's reign has felt underwhelming, and despite all the credibility that he built as the Intercontinental Champion, his time with the world title has not lived up to the expectations. So what's the biggest issue? It's the fact that he's barely wrestling, and when he does, the feuds are not compelling. It's hard to get excited when you're world champion. The guy who should be one of the most dominant forces in the company is stuck in uninspired rivalries. Compare this to his legendary IC title reign, where he put on banger after banger, elevating both the title as well as his opponents. That version of Gunther felt unstoppable, like a true generational talent, but this version, it's just a shell of what he could be. Let's be real, when your world champion openly admits that he's not happy with his booking, that is a major problem. The world title should be the most prestigious thing in the company, or at least on Raw. And yet Gunther himself is saying that his feud with Damian Priest didn't allow him to be his best. That is an indictment of WWE's creative direction. Even looking at his WrestleMania plans, it kind of feels like a letdown. No disrespect to Jey Uso, but this isn't the match that the fans were hoping for. We wanted to see CM Punk versus Gunther, or even John Cena versus Gunther, something that truly felt worthy of the World Heavyweight Championship. Instead, we're getting a storyline that doesn't have the same big fight feel. It just seems like Triple H is not making the best decisions right now, not for the women's division and not even for his top champion. This raises a bigger question: what happened to Triple H's creative magic? Just a year ago, fans were praising him for delivering one of the best WrestleManias in history, and now we're looking at a product that feels uninspired, inconsistent, and at times just plain lazy. The frustration isn't just coming from fans, but it's also coming from wrestlers themselves, and that is a massive red flag. The worst part is that these problems could have been avoided. The women's division is so stacked with talent, but they just aren't being used properly. Gunther is a world champion, but he is not being booked like one. And then you've got guys like Shinsuke Nakamura, who's been downright embarrassing. His US championship run might be the worst we've ever seen. He doesn't even defend the title, and it almost like WWE forgot that he was a champion. This is a guy with an insane amount of charisma and in-ring ability, and instead of having a meaningful reign, he's just holding the belt for no reason. How does that even happen? Then there's LA Knight. A year ago, he was the guy. Every arena was chanting his name, and he was moving merch like crazy, and it felt like WWE had a megastar on their hands on a silver platter. But instead of capitalizing on that momentum, creative dropped the ball. He's still over, and there's no denying that, but what's he actually doing? Nothing that makes him feel like a main event player. At this point, it's hard to tell if WWE is just hesitant to fully push him, or if they simply don't know what to do with him. Either way, it's killing his momentum, and that is frustrating for everyone who believed he was on his way to superstardom. And then you've also got Cody Rhodes, the guy WWE built the company around for the last couple of years, and he isn't even safe from bad booking. His run as the undisputed WWE champion has been incredibly underwhelming. After finally finishing his story, he should feel like the biggest thing in wrestling, but instead, it already feels like his reign is losing steam. The feuds haven't been all that compelling, and WWE hasn't done too much to make him feel like a dominant, must-see champion. That is a huge problem. The entire company is structured around Cody finally winning the big one, and yet here we are, and it just doesn't feel as special as it should. And that leads us to the biggest issue of all, and that's the fact that fans are not happy. That is the worst possible thing for the WWE right now. Fans are the most important people to please, because without us, none of this works. We're the ones who sell out arenas, drive up TV ratings, buy the merchandise, and create the energy that makes the WWE what it is. And right now, a lot of fans aren't thrilled with the product. There's no real excitement leading into WrestleMania, and that's just insane when you consider how massive this event is supposed to be. Last year, we were counting down the days to WrestleMania 40. We were hyped for every single match, but this year, it just feels like people are watching out of habit, and there's no real buzz. There's no real must-see feeling, and that's a failure on WWE's part. The talent is there, the potential for great storytelling is there, but Triple H and his team just simply aren't delivering. Now look, The Rock tonight can change everything, but Hunter still needs to pick it up with all the other feuds. At the end of the day, if the fans aren't excited, then what's the point? And right now, it looks like a lot of fans aren't too thrilled. I completely understand the frustration from the women, from Gunther, and also from all the fans. Let's see what WWE does. Hopefully they pivot and things could get better. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.